The sun hung heavily over Lagos, suffocating the streets in sticky heat. The horns, the shouts of hawkers, the distant gospel music from cheap speakers, all blurred into one familiar chaos. Inside her air-conditioned apartment, Amara scrolled through her phone, her red acrylic nails tapping against the screen. She was already late, but image came first. Quick mirror selfie before brunch, she cooed at herself. Snap, flash, pose. Her followers needed constant feeding, an endless stream of soft life and luxury hustle. She smiled at the reflection, long weave flowing, Fendi glasses perched perfectly, fake designer bag clutched under her arm. If they only knew. She ordered a bolt to the island. Late again. She hated appearing rushed. It wasn't the Amara brand. The boat driver cancelled last minute. Another request, no cars available. A third, ride not accepted. Amara cursed under her breath, fanning herself as sweat threatened to smear her makeup. She needed to be in Lekki in 30 minutes or risk losing the brand deal her fake life depended on. Then, a battered Toyota Corolla pulled up beside her. The window rolled down. "Madam, going to Lekki?" the man called out, voice humble, unsure. She almost said no, almost walked away, but desperation whispered, "Enter. It's not that deep," she told herself. She slid in. The car smelled of hard work. Sweat, old leather, faded air freshener battling the sun. The dashboard had seen better days. The driver's shoes were dusty, his steering wheel worn thin. "Eh, God," Amara muttered, flipping open her phone. Live stream time. She positioned the camera to capture herself. Lush, gorgeous, against the background of poverty she despised. "Si wahala," she snickered to her audience of 56,000 followers. "Soft life queen. Lagos is wild." The comments exploded. "Hustle hard or end up like this man." "Ew, poverty smells. Queen Amara, you too fresh." Adrenaline rushed through her. She was winning, always winning. The driver, Mr. Tunda, said nothing. He heard every word. He caught the snide laughs, the way she filmed his car, but he only adjusted his faded cap and focused on the road. Inside him, something heavy shifted, a slow, ancient ache that success had never fully healed. Amara wasn't done. She zoomed in slyly on his cracked dashboard. "See the steering wheel," she whispered theatrically. "Now this kind man they find wife online, promise you heaven and earth, but get 5,000 naira for account." More laughter, more likes. She felt untouchable, above life, above struggle. At the Lekki restaurant, she threw a 500 naira note at him. "Keep the change, Mr. Struggle," she said sweetly, snapping a final photo as she slammed the door. Another viral moment in the bag. She didn't see the way Mr. Tundi sat still for several moments after she left, staring at his hands on the wheel. He whispered a prayer his mother taught him long ago, when he was just a barefoot boy in Ibadan. "God, turn their mockery into my testimony." He started the engine slowly, merging into the noisy river of Lagos traffic. Life went on, but tables were already turning. Amara sashayed into the restaurant like a queen entering her palace. The contrast hit instantly. Polished floors, chandeliers dripping glass, the coolness of rich air conditioning licking at her skin. A server rushed to meet her, bowing slightly. "Good afternoon, Ma. Table for one." She waved her French-tipped fingers dismissively. "I'm meeting someone." As she walked to the reserved table by the window, her heels clicked, sharp, commanding. Heads turned. exactly how she liked it. At the table sat Kiki and Somto, her two fellow influencers, or as they secretly called themselves, the Untouchables. Kiki wore a Balenciaga t-shirt, so new the tag was still hanging at the side. Somto had 4 iPhones spread on the table, each buzzing with endless notifications. They squealed when they saw her. "Amara, our soft queen." She smirked, flipping her braids over her shoulder. "You know, nah, always shining." They ordered ridiculously expensive meals they barely touched. Croissants flown from Paris, salads costing more than most families' monthly income, all for the cameras. Amara uploaded her car struggle story to her page. She added the caption, "No matter the struggle, we still shine. Some were born to rule." Soft life. Jonch royalty blood. It got 15,000 likes in under an hour. Brands commented, fans cheered. Amara felt untouchable again, but underneath the laughter, something in her spirit twitched. When the bill came, Kiki's card declined twice. Somto's own card had issues. The waiter hovered awkwardly. Amara, rolling her eyes but smiling for appearances, covered the 68,500 naira bill, furious inside. This wasn't the plan. This wasn't the plan. They were supposed to ball together, not leech off each other. Still, she smiled for the Instagram story. Sisters who slay together, stay together. Fake smiles, fake friendships, fake life. Later that evening, as she rode home alone, in another cheap Bolt, no one came to pick her up, the neon lights of Lagos blurred into sad colors. Her phone buzzed. A DM notification. She clicked absent-mindedly. It was from an anonymous account. Just 4 words. "Remember the driver? Tables turn." She laughed out loud. "Shh, rubbish." Blocked the account without a second thought, but a chill slipped down her spine. Thin, electric. She shook it off. "Bad bell people everywhere," she muttered. Yet deep down, the seed had been planted. That night, lying on her bed, Amara couldn't sleep. She tossed, turned. Her mind wandered to the driver's face, that silent sadness in his eyes. Why had he not insulted her back? Why had he simply accepted it? Something about that calmness unsettled her more than any shouting match could have. She distracted herself, swiping through the usual shallow DMS from men offering flights, hotels, promises, "Fly to Dubai, spend weekend, I'll change your life." She smiled. She was still winning, wasn't she? Meanwhile, far across the city, Mr. Tunda knelt beside his small mattress on the floor of a one-room apartment. He prayed not for vengeance, not for her downfall, but for growth, for purpose, for dignity. "Lord," he whispered into the broken night, "make me a testimony they will not believe, and help me keep my heart clean when they come knocking." Tears glistened in his eyes. Not sadness, hope. Days became weeks. Weeks stretched into months. For Amara, the gigs kept coming, but slower now. A certain brand pulled out after a scandal linked to her name. Old tweets dug up, mocking broke people and ugly girls. Little by little, the fortress she had built on sand began to crack. She didn't notice, not at first. She was still that girl, after all. Still getting free hair from vendors. Still posing in rented Airbnbs for fake travel diaries. But behind the scenes, her bank account was thinning. Rent reminders started stacking. Management fees swallowed half her earnings. Creditors began calling. The big girls she used to hang out with, the ones who wore diamonds and dated politicians, stopped picking her calls. The loneliness was the loudest part. The clinking glasses, the flashing cameras, the expensive perfumes. They were all just background noise now. When the lights faded, all that remained was Amara, and the memory of a driver she had mocked, whose calm eyes refused to leave her mind. One night, broke and broken, she stared at her reflection. The girl who once ruled social media looked small, tired, hungry. Maybe I laughed too soon, she whispered to the empty room. The neon outside flickered once, and in the silence that followed, she heard the truth. Life is a long journey, and tables always turn. The first blow came on an ordinary Thursday. Amara had just finished filming a sponsored skincare ad, tagging all the necessary brands, filtering her face to perfection, editing out the crack on her apartment wall. She was refreshing her Instagram, waiting for the flood of likes and comments. Instead, she got an email, a simple, short, cutting email. Subject: termination of partnership. Dear Amara, due to recent concerns raised about your public behavior, we regret to inform you that we are ending our partnership effective immediately. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. Her heart slammed into her ribs. What concerns? She checked Twitter, and there it was. Cancel Amara trending. Number 5 in Nigeria. Someone had reposted the viral clip from years ago, her mocking the struggling taxi driver. Again. Only this time, the world was different. A social media movement about dignity of labor was sweeping through Nigeria. A movement celebrating everyday workers. A movement calling out pride, cruelty, arrogance. And there Amara was, laughing in a poor man's face. The comments were brutal. Pride goeth before a fall. So this is the real Amara. Not surprised. She tried to explain, tried to apologize, but it was too late. In the court of public opinion, she was guilty. No appeal, no mercy. The brands dropped her one by one, like stones falling from a cliff. Her follower count shrank, a slow, humiliating death. Opportunities dried up, rent became overdue. Friends stopped picking up. Parties no longer sent her invites. Suddenly, Lagos, her kingdom, shrank into a prison. She tried a rebrand, opened a business consultancy page, offered luxury life coaching. Nobody booked her. Even the few desperate men who once flooded her DMs now ghosted. The free meals stopped. The freebies stopped. The world stopped caring. The fall was slow, and that made it even more painful. It's one thing to be hit by a truck, another to drown in slow motion, feeling every gasp. Amara felt every bit. There were days she didn't leave her room, lying on a mattress on the floor, scrolling through old photos. Private jets she never flew, designer bags she never owned, vacations she couldn't afford. All lies, all gone. One night, out of desperation, she called Kiki. Kiki, babe, a beg, fit help me small? Things tight. Kiki laughed, a cold, shallow laugh. An Amara, you sef de beg now? The line went dead, blocked. Another night, hungry and hopeless, she sat by her window and wept, ugly, shuddering weeps. God, why me? She whispered into the darkness. But even in her tears, a small voice answered, you laughed too soon. You mocked too soon. You forgot life is a circle. Weeks turned into months. She sold her last iPhone, pawned her fake designer bags, moved from her Lekki apartment to a small, leaking room in Aja. Started job hunting. For real now. Job after job rejected her. Overqualified, underqualified, too much baggage. Her name, once a brand, was now a warning. Finally, a friend of a friend told her about an admin opening at a new transport tech company. Small salary, no glamour, but work was work. Amara ironed her last decent blouse, wore flat shoes that pinched her toes, and took a battered Danfo bus to the office on a rainy Monday morning. The building was new, bright, full of clean glass and ambition. Receptionists smiled mechanically. Desperate people shuffled in and out. Amara filled out the form with trembling hands. Name, Amara Ikenna, position. Sort, administrative assistant. A young lady called her name. Please, Ma, this way. Down a bright hallway, up a flight of stairs, into a cold, silent conference room. She sat on the cheap plastic chair, hands on her lap, heart pounding, waiting, alone with her fears. The door creaked. Footsteps. She stood quickly, smoothing her skirt, forcing a bright smile. And then she saw him, Mr. Tunda, the driver, the man she had mocked, except now he was dressed sharply in a fitted blue suit. A fine watch gleamed on his wrist, his bearing calm, powerful, confident. He smiled, not cruelly, but with a quiet, knowing kindness. "Good morning, Miss Amara," he said, offering his hand. "Shall we begin?" The world tilted. Amara's throat closed. Her knees almost buckled. She sat down, slowly, mechanically, trying to breathe. Was this real? Was this life? As the interview began, his voice stayed kind, professional, no anger. He asked standard questions about her past work, her skills, her goals. She answered like a ghost, each word dragged out of a dying dream. Inside, shame burned hotter than any Lagos sun. Finally, after 30 minutes, he folded his hands. "I have one final question," he said softly. Amara looked up, eyes wide, wet, broken. "If you could meet someone struggling again, someone with dust on his shoes, a cracked dashboard, a battered heart trying to survive, would you mock him again?" The room froze. The air thickened. Amara couldn't answer, couldn't breathe, couldn't hide. Tears spilled freely down her cheeks. I'm sorry," she whispered, voice cracking like glass. "I didn't know. I didn't understand." He nodded slowly. "Life teaches us what pride blinds us from," he said. "And sometimes, life does not ask for our permission to teach it." He stood up. "For now, you're not ready to work here," he said, gentle but firm. "Not because you are unworthy, but because you have healing to do." He gathered his papers, walked to the door, paused, looked back. "When you're ready, when you're truly ready, come find me." Then he left. Amara sat there, crumpled, humiliated, heartbroken, but strangely alive. Something inside her cracked open, and for the first time in her adult life, humility flowed in. That night, she didn't cry. She knelt. For the first time in years, she prayed, truly prayed, not for money, not for followers, not for fame. She prayed for mercy, for wisdom, for a second chance. And far away, Mr. Tunda knelt too, smiling softly into the night. "Tables turn," he whispered. "But grace always has the final say." It was nearly a year later. The harmattan dust curled through the city, coating windows, cracking lips, dimming the sun into a dull orange haze. Lagos moved, breathed, shouted, but Amara walked quietly through it now. No more loud selfies, no more show-off videos. She had changed, not perfectly, not overnight, but truly. She worked at a small printing shop now, earned 15,000 a week, enough to eat, pay her small rent, and buy second-hand clothes from Tejuosho Market. She learned names, faces, stories. The woman who sold Puff Puff on her street. She had 6 children and a dying mother. The security man in her building, once a graduate with dreams before life broke them. Amara saw them now, not as background noise, but as souls, real people, people she used to step over like garbage. She greeted street sweepers. She helped old women carry baskets at the market. She laughed with tricycle riders at the bus stops, not for social media, not for clout, because her eyes were open, and opening eyes was painful work. One evening, after closing from the print shop, she sat alone by the lagoon. The city lights shimmered on the black water. She thought about the life she used to have, the fake friendships, the screaming fame. She wasn't famous anymore, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She was free. The next morning, as she flipped through job ads in a tattered newspaper, an ad caught her eye. Ikenga Logistics, hiring office assistant. Ikenga Logistics, the same company she had once interviewed with. The company where Mr. Tundi had sat across from her, eyes full of silent judgment and hidden grace. Her heart thudded. Was this a second chance? Something in her spirit whispered, "Go." She bathed, wore her cleanest blouse, borrowed transport fare from her neighbor, and headed to the address. The new office was bigger, shinier, busier. Clearly the company had grown. Mr. Tundi had grown. She stood at the front desk, nerves crackling under her skin. "Please, I'm here to apply for the assistant role," she said softly. The receptionist smiled politely. "Name?" "Amara Ikenna." The receptionist tapped the keyboard, paused, then picked up the phone, murmured something, nodded. "Please have a seat. Someone will attend to you shortly." She waited. Minutes felt like hours. Sweat rolled down her back despite the cold air conditioning. She rehearsed what she would say if she saw him again. "I'm sorry. I've changed. Please give me a chance." The door opened. Footsteps. She stood. It wasn't Mr. Tunda. It was a young woman. Sharp, confident. "Miss Amara, come with me." She followed down a long hallway and into a glass-walled office, and there, seated behind a large, polished desk, was Mr. Tunda, older now, stronger, smiling. Not the small, humble driver she once mocked. Now a CEO, a boss, a man who carried weight with every word, every gesture. "Good morning, Miss Amara," he said warmly. She swallowed hard. "Good morning, sir." He motioned for her to sit. She sat, hands trembling in her lap. There was a long silence. Finally, he spoke. "I've been watching you." Her heart pounded. Not from cameras, not from spies. Lagos is small. Word travels. He leaned forward. "I heard about the printing shop. I heard about how you help the security men fix their uniforms, how you clean up after customers without complaining." He smiled. Soft, genuine. "You've changed." Tears blurred her vision. "I had to," she whispered. He nodded. "Pain is a brutal but effective teacher," he said. He opened a file on his desk. "In this company, we value dignity. We value hard work. We value people, not appearances." He slid a sheet toward her. "Welcome to Ikenga Logistics, Miss Amara. If you want the job, it's yours." She stared at the paper, hands shaking. This wasn't just a job. It was redemption. It was mercy wrapped in paper and ink. She signed. As she rose to leave, he spoke again. "One more thing." She turned. He smiled. "Never despise small beginnings," he said. "Because that driver you mocked?" He chuckled softly. "That was just my beginning." Amara bowed deeply. Not fake humility, real gratitude. And as she walked out of the office, into the bright Lagos sun, something lifted off her shoulders. She wasn't Amara the influencer anymore. She wasn't the soft life queen. She wasn't the girl who mocked the struggling. She was Amara, the woman. Strong, humbled, alive, and finally, free.